And then we have the fifth video of the day. Time for deck request. Yes, I was able to finish the next one. It is a deck request by narutobenten88, who asked me to make an elemental hero deck, and I asked which kind. I could choose myself, so I made a vanilla control elemental hero deck with Sparkman and Alias, and also 2 copies of Captain Gold. But mostly Sparkman and Alias, those are the focus. But yeah, deck requests. The next couple are done. What? It's not even English. The next couple of deck requests are already done. The next one just needs an edit to the new Forbidden Unlimited list. Well, I actually have had that deck on my my profile for longer than that. I believe it still has 3 copies of One Day of Peace in there, so I believe that's one of the 2 cards that needs to be changed or something. The rest is still fine. But yeah, the few after this were done. I had a hero beat deck, which I actually wanted to show before this, but I was after the I had to edit a few things out, obviously Stratos, and I decided that I wasn't really fully happy with that yet. I was trying a few different things. I thought, okay, I'm going to make a different deck. I made vanilla control, and I'm very happy with it. A few things I'm still thinking about, but I didn't want to test every deck for 2 months before I actually make a final decision. So here it is. My opponent seems to be playing some kind of troll-ish stall deck. Waboku Threatening Word doesn't say everything yet, but then Gift Card comes out without bad reaction to Simochi, so that means pretty much that one trap card that he's gonna play next. I forget its name. Hope for Escape, which could mean Exodia, because, you know, Gift Card to only work for Hope for Escape. Then he'll have Upstart Goblin. His Threatening War Waboku to stall. It can mean Exodia. It can also mean self-destruct button. And if it's self-destruct button, then his deck will likely also include Final Countdown, because with this stall that can actually also work. I have a deck like that as well. I don't remember whether I've used it in a duel video before or not, though. We have vanilla control. I have a couple of cards. There's a ruling that I forgot to check. Well, forgot to check. I never really thought of it regarding a Hero Blast. But I thought, can I do this in this moment? I wasn't sure, so I didn't do it. I should have totally looked that up before narrating this, but I'm gonna do that before the deck profile, to make sure that I can give the correct ruling there, because I do the narration before I do the deck profile. Right, he plays Final Countdown, so I'm like, okay, I just have to survive for 20 turns, that's possible. But then with all the stall cards, I'm like, nah, he has a different card that he's gonna play. Yeah, I'm gonna lose. Difference in life points? 7,600. He can already play it. He hasn't yet done it, so probably he doesn't have it yet. So, continuing play, I'm thinking of what to do. I could just direct attack twice, and I would almost have game, so I'm thinking of going into Elemental Hero Bladeheart, or that's the Japanese name anyway, Blade Armor Ninja. That could do it, although I end up going into Paraduality, so I can't actually special summon this turn. But I'm thinking of what to do next turn, and since I do know he has quite a lot of traps, and he'll probably have more traps later on, I decide to summon the second Sparkman to attack directly with it, hope for damage. Then in my next turn, I was planning to normal summon this Elemental Hero Captain Gold after I played a Skyscraper on the field, and then overlay the 3 of them into Heroic Champion Kusanagi, which is the only rank 4 monster I have in Extra deck with 3 materials. That requires 3 materials, so I can stop at least one of his traps each turn and do things that way. But I'm not actually ever gonna get there. So I'm just looking at the watch chat here. I don't usually do that too much in my duels, but I'm like, you know, this duel hasn't really been going on for too much, and I kind of expect it to be done soon, like either in my next turn with Kusanagi, with some other plays that I could make, or if he has like self-destruct button. So I just decided to just read the watcher stat. In a moment I'll be writing some more things. Taking my time. I don't really want to stall the video, make it boring. or make it difficult for me that I have to cut out a lot of parts, but usually I can just narrate over those parts and it doesn't really matter. So options I have here, I don't have too much. I could use Dagusta Emerald to call back an Elias, which technically I could have done. I hadn't actually ever thought about that before this. Might have actually been a good idea. Let's say he would have just had Waboku. He actually reveals later on to actually have a self-destruct button face down. Why he didn't use it already, I don't know. But assuming he wouldn't have that, it would have just been, let's say, Waboku Threatening Roar or something like that. Then I could have overlaid the Sparkmans into Dagusta Emerald, get Elias back, then Gemini Spark, get Elias out of there to destroy one of his cards, and hopefully hit something that is like Threatening Roar Waboku that is able to stop me from damaging him. And I kind of want to damage him, not to lower his life so he can use the destruct button, but just to beat him, because if he has another turn he may just draw into it. But what we're going to find out eventually is that he actually has Final Countdown. Although, that might have actually been the card that he just drew, I don't actually remember. He does play pretty soon, which is unfortunate. I don't face these troll decks too often. Usually troll decks, I only put them in duel videos and like deck request duels when I use them myself. I don't usually duel against them in a video because it's not too interesting. I do want to use them myself sometimes, so I do that, but it's usually more interesting if I play another fight against another kind of deck. But I guess had fun during this duel. I was able to show off a little bit of my deck, not too much, but there's going to be a deck profile after this. And I have 2 more videos to make today, and it's 10:46, so I'm going after midnight, that's for sure. But so I'm at least doing another a DN news video. Maybe if I still feel like it, I'm going to do another duel video, but we'll see. Here comes the self-destruct button. I don't have anything to do. I can't chain it. I can technically chain, but I can't stop it. So duel is over there. We draw, and I'm gonna see you guys in the deck profile for the vanilla control elemental hero deck. The elemental hero vanilla heroes. I'm just gonna call them vanilla heroes. Elemental hero vanilla control is too long. Vanilla heroes. I'm gonna see you in the deck profile. See you in a bit. And after that, see you on the DN. Tired. Need my sleep, but I'm first going to complete the marathon. And if you haven't watched it yet, probably you haven't had too much time. Check out all the other videos of the marathon. I'm probably going to do more marathon. People seem to like it, but it leaves less views in each video. But go check out all the other videos uploaded today for the marathon. I hope you like them. I'll see you later. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Later is now, and it's time for the Vanilla Heroes deck profile. For the deck request from narutobenten88. I said narutobenten because I wrote the N like really small and it didn't really fit, but I noticed when it switched the light on that it was narutobenten and not narutobenten. So narutobenten88, here's your Elemental Hero. Whoops. The Elemental Hero deck profile. In the side deck, as I usually do with most deck requests, I put cards that I've thought about using. If it's a match, if it's like a deck that's specifically designed for match duels, then I'll put a side deck that's there for match duels, for actual siding. Otherwise, I usually use the side deck for cards that I'm thinking about using that I'm going to test in there. Since this deck request will be done after this, I'm probably not going to use it too much, but you can try it yourselves. I usually just leave them there for suggestions for you, like ideas of what you could test in the deck, what may work better for you. Anyway, we're doing 3 copies of Elemental Hero Neos Elias, or Alias. I'm still not sure how you're supposed to pronounce that. It's technically an effect monster, however, when face up on the field or in the graveyard, it is treated as a normal monster, and we're going to make use of that fact. 3 copies of Elemental Hero Sparkman. Besides Alias, it is the strongest vanilla Elemental Hero out there, attack power-wise. Defense power-wise, that would be Clayman. I'll explain later why Clayman isn't in the main deck. Sparkman's in there, and then 2 copies of Captain Gold because Skyscraper is also in there. Captain Gold, when you can discard it to the graveyard and then add a Skyscraper from deck to hand, and if it's on the field but Skyscraper's not, it's destroyed. However, if Skilled Friend's on the field, that's obviously ignored. I have Skyscraper in this deck because one of the things in this deck is that it'll, with Sparkman and Alias at 1600, 1900, with Skyscraper on the field, they can overcome a lot of things. And yeah, if they use MST and Mystical Space Typhoon on it, then it's gone, and then you can't do that. Yes, but I also have quite a lot of traps, and people will actually want to probably get rid of those more than Skyscraper, so there's a good chance that you'll actually be able to keep Skyscraper on the field for a while. Skyscraper works in this deck. Trust me. 3 copies of E Emergency Call. Stratos is gone, but Emergency Call is back to unlimited, so why the heck not? Reinforcements of the Army is another searcher, and then 3 copies of Duality with it back at unlimited. We have 7 searchers. 2 copies of Gemini Spark with 3 Gemini monsters, so with 2 Gemini Spark, that feels good. 1 Forbidden Lance, together with Gemini Spark, and the 3 Mystical Space Typhoons that I have over here. I guess that would be my back row hate, although Gemini Spark doesn't always have to work with back row. I'd probably usually use it on monsters, but in this duel video, I used it on a face down card the opponent had in Spell and Trap card zone. Then Dark Hole. And then I have 2 copies of Heat Wave. Now what this does is you can only activate it at the very start of your main phase 1. And then neither player can normal or special summon an effect monster until your next draw phase. Now, the only non-effect monsters that I have are Clayman in the side deck that I'm considering, Gemini Pearl, and Sparkman. Alias is technically also a normal monster, but only when face up on the field or in the graveyard. You normal summon it from the hand, and in the hand it is still treated as an effect monster, so under Heatwave you cannot use it. I put them in there because it can really lock down the opponent, and I probably just have Alias already on the field, or I'll just wait a turn with using it. But Heatwave can really stop the opponent because the swarming and everything comes from effect monsters. Dragon Ruler's Prophecy. Well, Prophecy doesn't really swarm monsters, more spells and more spells that they work with. But a lot of decks work with effect monsters and summoning a lot of them to the field. This one just stops them from being special summoned. So that does help. And you can still normal summon Sparkman under it, so that's nice. But if Alias is in the graveyard, you are able to use Oversoul under Heatwave, because in the graveyard it's treated as a normal monster. So that works. 2 copies of Oversoul as part of the vanilla control. As I said, Alias is treated as a normal monster in the graveyard, and obviously so is Sparkman because it's just a normal monster. In general, Oversoul is the monster reborn for elemental heroes. For elemental hero normal monsters, it's able to special summon them. So it helps with things. 2 Mirror Force and 2 Justy Break, which pretty much makes 4 Mirror Force in total. Justy Break, in case you don't know it, you can only activate it when the opponent declares an attack against a face-up normal monster you control. So that's Sparkman or Alias. And then it destroys all monsters on the field except face-up attack position normal monsters. It's unlikely that you'll have one of your monsters in defense mode in this deck, unless it's like Xyz and Maestroke, but that's really it. You won't often have Captain Gold on the field. You usually just use them for Skyscraper. You may have them on the field, but not very often. Justy Break then destroys all monsters on the field except face-up attack position normal monsters. You have to be careful in that it can also destroy your own monsters, but advantage that it has over Mirror Force is that it also destroys defense position monsters, both face up and face down. Only face up attack position normal monsters survive the blast, and people don't often play them, so you could take out an entire field, except Draco Sacks when there's at least 1 token on the field. But the rest of everything is destroyed. 3 copies of Hero Blast. You can target an elemental hero normal monster in the graveyard, add it to your hand, and then destroy a face-up monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to the target stack. So let's say there's an Alias in the grave, because once again, treated as a normal monster while in the grave, and the opponent has Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo. Then you can Hero Blast, you can get it back Elias back from grave to hand, so card advantage wise you still have a +0 because Hero Blast is gone, but you get Elias back. And then you destroy an opponent's card, in this my example Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo, because it's lower attack than Elias. And in that sense, card advantage wise you gain a +1 over your opponent. Works very well. Once again I have 6 normal monsters to work with, so you can often get it done, unless the opponent doesn't really have monsters. Yeah. Skill Drain. A lot of decks use effect monsters. Some of them don't really use them on the field as much, but Skill Drain does stop a lot of decks, and in this deck it doesn't stop much except the Xyz monsters, and I don't Xyz often in this deck, so it's not really that bad. And if I do Xyz, it's usually when Skill Drain isn't out. And then Bottomless Trap will Solemn Warning, and that's it for my main deck. Extra deck wise, as I said, I don't use them often, but in certain situations they can be useful. Mostly if you don't draw into Skill Drain, then these Xyz monsters can definitely be something you could be using. Gaga Cowboy, it can take out a monster of lower than almost 3,000 attack with its first effect, but you usually use the defense precision effect just to inflict the final 800 points of damage, like if you've almost won. Abyss Dweller, Dragon Lures are a thing. Mermails are still a thing, so Abyss Dweller is able to stop that. Dargusto Emerald, not too strong, but it can summon a non-effect monster from the grave, so Sparkman, Alias, and Pearl. Maestroke, you know I like him. Starleash Paladinamo with 2 level 4 lights. Well, all of my 3 monsters here just happen to be light monsters. It's able to take out a very strong monster just by lowering its stack to 0 and negating its effects. And when Paladinamo is destroyed, you draw a card as well, so that's nice. Diamond Direwolf, I'm over the thing that I don't put them in my decks often. I can definitely see its usefulness now. So Diamond Direwolf in there. Excalibur, if in need, you can get to 4,000 attack with this and get over something big. Black Ship of Corn to get rid of things like Zen Mind's Gachi, or something else you just want to get rid of, like you attack with Sparkman and Alias, and in main phase 2 you Xyz into Black Ship to get rid of the third monster that they have. Pappy Operative, would you feel like using it? I have barely ever used it lately, but it can be useful. Blade Armor Ninja, you can Xyz a Sparkman and an Alias, or an Alias and an Alias, or whatever, into each other. This one will have higher attack than them, unless, of course, under Skyscraper, and then it can attack twice, so even if you have 2 aliases, as long as Blade Armor Ninja's effect is able to work out, you'll be able to deal more damage than with just 2 aliases. Then I have a Constellar Omega, which can be summoned with 2 level 4 lights. They're all lights. And then once per turn during either player's turn, so it's quick effect, you can detach an Xyz material. All Constellar monsters you currently control are unaffected by spells and traps. Spell and trap effects, I should say. So this can stop like Magic Cylinder, Mirror Force, those kind of cards. Constellar Omega will be able to attack through that. Utopia, if you want to negate some attacks of Skill Drains not in field. Pearl to be the strongest rank 4 Xyz monster under Skill Drain, although technically under Skill Drain you'd use number 85 Crazy Box. I don't plan to use it outside of Skill Drain, because outside of Skill Drain it can't attack. Pearl's just a vanilla to possibly work with Daigusto Emerald. Also helps taking out Ophion, although under Skill Drain you could use Crazy Box for that as well, I guess. And then finally, Heroic Champion Kusanagi. I barely have it in any decks, not that I have many warrior decks, but I felt it could be useful in this deck. Would have been useful in the duel video that I showed earlier, but I never got to do the self-destruct button. But it's able to negate the effects of trap cards for the opponent once per turn. So that's indeed a very nice thing. Now in the side deck I've taken cards, I've considered Clayman as another normal monster. It has nice defense. I kind of just want to attack, especially on the Skyscraper. Now Clayman just has 1800 on Skyscraper, it's not too much. Usually used for defense. You could throw it in there if you want, try it out, but I don't really use it. Photon Thrasher, I haven't actually tested with it. It's used in quite a few decks, also in Hero Beat, because it's just an easy summon, helps with Xyzing into Excalibur, Blade Armor Ninja, those kind of things. It's also a light monster, so that works with Constellar Omega as Starleash Paladinamo. You could use Dimensional Prison, let's say, instead of Mirror Force. Miracle Fusion you could use to get some really good monsters out. However, I decided not to play it because for things like Oversoul and Hero Blast, you want pretty much everything in the grave. Like you can use Captain Gold for Miracle Fusion, but the rest, Sparkman and Alias, you kind of want to keep them in the grave, and Miracle Fusion does stop that. So you may want to change the deck a bit before you use Miracle Fusion. Super Polymerization. It's if you run a good amount of elemental heroes, or hero mons in general, but usually you want elemental heroes, you can use Super Poly to just fuse it with any of your opponent's cards. And if your opponent just happens to have elemental heroes, just use just only their monsters. Super Polymerization is able to take care of a lot of monsters. Draco Sack. I don't care about the tokens, it's not being destroyed, it's sent to the grave, being used as fusion material. And then you can summon your fire, water, wind, earth, light, or dark monsters depending on what the opponent has. And then I've also considered Comics Hero King Arthur, just like Excalibur and Blade Armor Ninja. It's rank 4 that requires 2 monsters that are warrior type. Although I have it in like 1 or 2 decks, I haven't actually ever summoned it, because if I want the indestructibility part, I usually use Maestro anyway, because that also Maestro also is able to protect itself from effect destruction, not just battle destruction. And if I want to get over something big, I use Excalibur over Comics Hero King Arthur. But if you have the space, if you want to try it, go ahead. And then finally, I considered Evil Swarm Ouroboros, because I feel that's generically the most useful rank 4 Xyz that requires 3 materials. So that was the deck profile for the Vanilla Heroes deck. narutobenten88, I hope you enjoyed it. And everyone else, I hope you enjoyed it as well. Try it out if you want. Tell me in the comments what you like, what you personally would change. If you try out the deck, do it. Make some changes if you feel necessary for your version. Let me know what you feel, what the results have been of your testing, and I will see you in the next video.